So picture this, a sprawling cotton plantation in South Carolina. The kind of place where secrets are buried deep in the soil and maybe even deeper in the pages of the financial
That's
ledgers.
it. Keep your
This
letters
is the
steady.
story of a young,
Like this,
enslaved girl
Grandpa?
who saw the world in a way no one else did. She saw it in numbers. And we're going to talk about how she used that
What does this
incredible
symbol
gift
mean?
to
It
uncover a truth
represents an
that was
ancient
never,
covenant.
ever
A
supposed to be
covenant?
found.
Can you explain?
You know, the thing about numbers is they don't have emotions. They don't have agendas. They just tell a story of patterns, of things that don't add up. And when someone finally learns how to read that story, well, the truth that comes out can be more powerful and a whole lot more dangerous than any lie. All right, so let's meet Sarah. When our story begins, she's just 8 years old, born into slavery on Fairmont Plantation. But her mind worked in a way that was completely unique. She didn't just see the world around her, she measured it, she counted it, and she found the hidden rhythms in absolutely everything.
I mean, she counted everything. For Sarah, the walk from her little cabin down to the creek wasn't just a walk. Nope. It was exactly 247 steps if she stayed on the path, or if she cut through the tall grass, it was 231. Her entire world was like a map made out of numbers.
And it wasn't just counting steps. She saw patterns where everyone else just saw, everyday life. She noticed that the plantation mistress, Mrs. Vance, ordered new fabric like clockwork every 43 days. This wasn't just idle counting, it was her mind intuitively understanding cycles and systems. And her attention to detail, just incredible. During the busy harvest season, she clocked that the overseer would ride out to the cotton fields exactly 3 times a day. This wasn't just her being observant, this was data collection. In her head, Sarah was building a mental ledger of how the entire plantation worked. Now, Fairmont Plantation itself was run by a man named Thomas Vance. And he was a guy who loved his numbers, prided himself on keeping meticulous records. But there was a problem, a really weird problem. Accountants at Fairmont just didn't stick around. One left because of health problems. Another just disappeared without even getting his final pay. And the third? He died in his sleep. Yeah, it seemed like the job was cursed. You know what they say, a closed door can't stop a curious mind. When Sarah was 9, she got a chance to clean the main plantation office, and that gave her a peek into a totally forbidden world, the world of letters, numbers, and the incredible power they held. Just try to put yourself in her 9-year-old shoes for a second. This room was like a fortress of knowledge. You've got shelves groaning under the weight of these massive ledgers, each one basically a secret history of the plantation. The desk is covered in papers filled with these mysterious symbols, numbers, and letters that she just knew promised to tell a story, if only she could figure out how to read them. That night, when she told her mother Della about it, the explanation she got was chilling. Her mother told her that reading wasn't just forbidden, it was dangerous. Because if enslaved people could read, they could understand laws, they could write their own travel passes, they could organize. This wasn't about keeping people ignorant, it was about keeping them under control. Knowledge was a weapon they were never, ever supposed to have. And then, a new guy shows up, Herbert Crane, the 4th accountant in 7 years. He was old, frail, hands trembled a bit, but behind those thick glasses, his eyes saw something extraordinary in Sarah. He didn't just see a young servant girl. He saw a brilliant, genuine, mathematical mind just going to waste. So that's what they did. In total secrecy, late at night in his little cottage, Herbert started to give Sarah the education the world was denying her. He started with the basics, teaching her how to write the numbers she already understood so well. Then came arithmetic. Then the alphabet, and finally, the absolute magic of sounding out words and unlocking the secrets on the page.
But with knowledge comes power, and that almost always comes with danger. As Sarah's skills just skyrocketed, Herbert began to trust her with more than just her lessons. He started trusting her with the plantation's secrets, and together, they were about to uncover a conspiracy hidden right there in the numbers.
And get this, by the time she was 12, Sarah wasn't just literate, she was completely fluent in the language of accounting. Her secret education moved from Herbert's cottage right into the plantation office itself. He started training her on the exact ledgers that had once seemed so mysterious. She basically became his secret apprentice. And that incredible mind of hers, the one that saw patterns everywhere, well, it didn't take long for it to find something wrong. It wasn't one big, obvious theft. It was more like a death by 1,000 cuts. Tools bought that never showed up in the inventory. Supplies of cloth and food that were always consistently about 15 to 20% less than what the book said they should be. And when she added it all up, the number was just staggering. Over $3,000 stolen. And the pattern? It pointed directly to the plantation manager, a man named Crawford. But just as they were about to do something, tragedy. Sarah found Herbert one morning, lifeless in his chair. He died in his sleep. But there, on the ledger that was open on his lap, he had left her one final, urgent instruction, circled right next to the evidence they'd found. Just 2 words. Show Vance. So now Sarah has this choice to make, right? Following her mentor's last wish, she decides to do something that will change her life and the fate of Fairmont Plantation forever. She takes the evidence to the one person who can actually do something about it, exposing a crime and, in the process, revealing her own impossible secret. You can just imagine Mr. Vance's face. He was completely stunned. Not just by the theft, but by the fact that a 12-year-old slave girl was the one who figured it all out. Seeing her undeniable skill, and let's be honest, his own desperation for a good bookkeeper, he makes this highly, highly unorthodox decision. Sarah would become Fairmont's new accountant, all of her work done in total secrecy, before dawn and after dusk. And for a while, 4 whole years, this impossible arrangement actually worked. The plantation was thriving. But then a new, ambitious overseer named Fletcher arrives, and he starts getting suspicious. One night, at a big dinner party, a guest is praising Vance's financial genius, and Fletcher sees his chance. He stands up and announces to everyone that Fairmont's success isn't because of Vance at all, but because of his 16-year-old slave accountant. The secret was out. And boom, the scandal is instant. To save his own reputation, to save face, Mr. Vance had no choice. He dismissed Sarah from her duties, stripped her of her role, and ordered her back to being a simple house servant. And his last instruction to her, forget everything you learned. As if that was even possible. But Vance gives her one last job to do, prepare the books for her replacement. And in doing so, Sarah discovers a secret that's way deeper than just some simple theft. It was a truth that revealed the whole plantation was built on a fragile foundation, and it inspired her to create a completely new kind of record. So as she's organizing the ledgers one last time, her sharp eyes, they catch something, a new pattern of theft. But this time, the signature on the purchase orders belonged to Mr. Vance himself. She dug deeper, and the whole story unraveled. Vance had inherited a mountain of debt. The entire plantation was mortgaged to the bank, and he was stealing from his own failing business, just trying to save some money for himself before the bank inevitably foreclosed. And think about it. For years, Sarah had been working in these ledgers that literally put a price tag on a human life, including her own, valued at $600. So in response, she did something incredible. She started her own secret record, a journal. And in her journal, she didn't write down dollars and cents. She wrote down names, families, stories. She documented the very humanity that the official books were designed to erase. So, what happens next? Well, Sarah, she doesn't just walk away. She leaves the evidence of Vance's fraud right where the new accountant would find it. Sure enough, Vance fled, and the bank took over the plantation. The bank's representative, recognizing her incredible talent, kept her on as the secret accountant, giving her and her mother protected status. So for the next 14 years, she managed Fairmont's finances, all while secretly filling her journal. And long, long after her death, that journal was found, an invaluable, priceless record of human life that would have otherwise been completely lost to history. In the end, Sarah mastered 2 different kinds of accounting, didn't she? One of them measured profit and loss in dollars. The other measured the value of a human life in dignity and resilience. Her story really leaves us with a powerful question. In our own world, which is so full of data and analytics, which ledger are we paying attention to? The numbers that tell a truth, or the stories that tell the whole truth?